We're looking for adults for to be in our HPV vaccination ad. Sound like you? No, man. You're sexually active and unvaccinated. Still be you.
I'm too old.
If you're under 45, you're not. For most people, HPV clears on its own, but for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers.
Wow. Gardasil 9 is a vaccine given to adults through age 45 that can help protect against certain HPV-related cervical, vaginal, vulvar, anal, and certain head and neck cancers, such as throat and back and mouth cancers, and genital warts.
Gardasil 9 doesn't protect everyone. It doesn't treat cancer or HPV infection. These diseases may have many causes.
Your doctor may recommend screenings for certain HPV-related cancers. Routine cervical cancer screenings are still needed. You shouldn't get Gardasil 9 if you're allergic to the vaccine, its ingredients, or yeast. Tell your doctor if you have a weakened immune system, are pregnant, or plan to be.
The most common side effects include injection site reactions, headache, fever, nausea, dizziness, tiredness, diarrhea, abdominal pain, and sore throat. Fainting can also happen.
Help protect yourself against certain HPV-related cancers. Talk to a doctor or pharmacist today.
Oh, yeah.
Some people say a man is made out of mud. A poor man's made out of muscle and blood. Muscle and blood and skin and bones. A mind that's weak and a back that's strong. You load 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. I was born one morning when the sun didn't shine. I picked up my shovel and I walked to the mine. I loaded 16 tons, a number 9 coal, and the straw boss said, well, to bless my soul, you load 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. I was born one morning, it was drizzling rain. Fighting and trouble are my middle name. I was raised in the canebrake by an old mama lion. Can't go a high-tone woman, make me walk the line. You load 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. If you see me coming, better step aside. A lot of men didn't, a lot of men died. One fifth of mine. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store.
Hey everybody, let's talk about step 10 today. Step 10, yay, step 10. Step 10 is a twofer. So, step 10 is considered sort of preventative. And what do I mean by preventative? It's preventative in that you don't want to turn situations into a big deal where they have to go into a formal inventory. Step 4, and do a formal apology. Step 9. You know, you don't want to turn it into something more than it needs to be. So let me explain what I'm talking about here. Say you screw up and say
spot. Let's keep the night glowing. I don't ever wanna stop. Never leave this world. I'm in need of all sky is turning blue. We clear the slow lips. Stay on the run. Pieces about to blow. Speaking in my teeth. I got time. In the end, it's you and me. In the darkness, I would never leave it. Saw this moment coming from afar. Now here we are. So run from the sunlight, Dracula. So run from the sunlight, Dracula. Run from the sunlight, Dracula. Isn't the view spectacular? So run from the sunlight, Dracula. Run from the sunlight, Dracula. Isn't the view spectacular? Run from the sunlight, Dracula. Run from the sunlight, Dracula. Isn't the view spectacular? unconditional support of a friend and forgiveness and self-love is the unconditional way. Oh, it's as above as it is below. So within it is so without a baby. My daddy is the sun and my mama be the moon. We all had a star within us trying to bloom. We are alike, bound to this body. And until we are free from our days, things turn black and white and make less heavy pain. Oh, honey, that black wizard watches. He is a witness to the wicked ways. Oh, baby, that black wizard is black wizard is not a man, but a lover's kiss on a bloody cheek. Black wizard sees a star. They're bound to the body. In the west shall rise a sinister creed. The rich will get what they want. The poor will lose what they need. The devil knows our fears. He told all his friends they'll block the sun with their lies. As darkness descends, oh Lord, the great collapse won't be our end. When the world falls into the flames, we will rise again. We will rise again. Let the wars begin. We'll keep here, our frail and thin, as they disappear. Let the chaos come. Let our houses freeze. The lights will all go out, but we'll finally see. Oh Lord, the great collapse won't be our end. When the world falls into the flames, we will rise again. We will rise again. When the sky has cleared, has passed, we'll walk arm in arm down our promised path. We'll watch the sun come up from its bed of black. We'll enter Eden's garden and never look back. Oh Lord, the great collapse won't be our end. When the world falls into the flames, we will
Everyone always asks me how I was able to save $1,000 on this mattress. Here's how. Ashley Stars and Stripes sale. I went to the showroom just to look, but when I found this Sealy Princeton mattress was $1,000 off, I knew I had to buy it. Shop now.
Watch the FIFA World Cup 2026 live on Fox 1, June 11th through July 19th. Available with YouTube. Terms apply. Cancel anytime.
Yo, your friends are here.
Wait, whose party is this right now? Gigi.
Hey, girls. How are you? I'm Maddie.
Nice to meet you. Google, are you nuts?
Bitch, we can get petty. Tell me if you're ready. I was playing nice. We can change the setting. We can get petty. We can get petty. Yeah. We can get petty. Tell me if you're ready. I was playing nice. We can change the setting. We can get petty. We can get petty. Yeah.
Afuera. Go outside.
Did accept business. Trying to bring us down so they bring up us rich bitches. Talking up and that gon' get you far, but if this it's gon' hit different. About to get explicit. And with Twitter listen. You gon' have to speak up when you talk. I'm here to listen. If you poppin' shit, you probably wishing I'm religious. This collision finna get you feeling hella Christian. Look, you gon' need that energy you got when you stand to me. All the caps locking when you talking on the net to me. Wish a bitch would yell at me. Fuck a bitch's jealousy. May not be your cup of tea, but I'm your boyfriend's fantasy. If we can get petty, tell me if you're ready. I was playing nice. We can change the setting. We can get petty. We can get petty. Yeah. We can get petty. Tell me if you're ready. I was playing nice. We can change the setting. We can get petty. We can get petty. Yeah. Bro, I'm so tired of the commenting on me and mine when all you bitches really ain't got no positive. Ain't gonna get $1,000 if you and your 3 hoe ass friends. Go put your savings in mine. You fucking thought this out. You're judging bitches like us cause you forgot that I don't got time. But I'll make time if your muse dragging a little bitch. I'm tired of all you fucking hoes. Y'all starting problems. If you slick, I'm about to drag you by the fucking edges. Both of us ain't got this quite ironic stale plan. Ass bitches throwing salt. You about to get your season. We about to make this even. You talking shit about me. You about to get your reason. Cause I've been on my vibe and how you're at my meditating shit. But if you want bitch, this fucking hair can get petty. Tell me if you're ready. I was playing nice. We can get petty. Yeah. We can get petty. If you're ready. I was playing nice. We can change the setting. We can get petty. We can get petty. Yeah. We can get petty. Tell me if you're ready. Yeah. I was playing nice. We can change the setting. We can get petty. We can get petty. Yeah. We can get petty. Tell me if you're ready. I was playing nice. We can change the setting. We can get petty. We can get petty. Yeah.
Bro, are you drinking a Celsius right now?
Yeah.
Why, Costa? Are you trying to have a panic attack or are you trying to focus?
Trying to focus, man.
Okay, so take an ultra.
No.
Alright, Costa's golf score is probably going to match his heart rate soon. You don't need 200 mgs of caffeine to hit a four-footer. This is ultra. It's clean, it's fast, and it actually helps you focus. It's filled with research-backed nootropics like L-theanine, alpha-GPC, and ginseng root. The best part is, no caffeine, no nicotine. So you don't have to feel bad ripping these patches on the golf course. We also added a little tingle to make it feel exactly like a nicotine pouch. If you don't want to play golf like him and have your heart rate match your golf score, I say take an ultra pouch instead. Don't feel bad about it, but always remember, focus responsibly.
Know that I won't get blood still. This loss is a burden that we both share. Two sinners can atone from a lone prayer. Souls tied, intertwined by pride and guilt. There's darkness in the distance from the way that I've been living, but I know I can't resist it. Oh, I love it and I hate it at the same time. You and I drink the poison from the same vine. Oh, I love it and I hate it at the same time. Hiding all of our sins from the daylight, running from the daylight, from the running from the daylight. Oh, I love it and I hate it at the same time. Telling myself it's the last time. Can you spare any mercy that you might find? If I'm down on my knees, deep down, way down, Lord, I try to follow your light, but it's not time. Please don't leave me in the end. There's darkness in the distance. I'm begging for forgiveness, but I know I'm not resisting. Oh, I love it and I hate it at the same time. You and I drink the poison from the same vine. Oh, I love it and I hate it at the same time. Hiding all of our sins from the daylight, running from the daylight, running from the daylight. Oh, I love it and I hate it at the same time.
I mean, that's the whole point of the Movie Drunks podcast.
Kind of get like the behind the scenes intel.
We bought a movie. This is $10. I didn't feel like I had a say in this.
The purpose is the same. It's helping people,
Check out an episode at rcu.org/podcast.
Or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
on gender identity, gender expression, John Money, pronoun usage, what else? The sex gender distinction. You are 100% correct.
Wow.
You are 100% correct. I don't know if you've ever heard that from a trans person before. So I'd like to say that I'm actually a part of that organization that was going to come and try and derail you tonight. I didn't hear a single thing, though, that constituted an attack on queer or trans lives or an attack on me personally. So I don't know what they were on about there. Moreover, everything that you have said on gender identity, gender expression.
You think you're original? You ain't original. You were programmed to be you. You're a slave and you don't even know it. The shit you think of ain't even your thoughts. Let's step out the box for a minute. Yeah. How do we know if God exists? How do we know it's positive? Are you the definition of an angel or the opposite? If you lost your wallet and I found it, I would not commit to stealing it. But if the tables turn and you will pocket it. See, I've been me for so long, but I still don't know who Hobson is. How come one of my teachers used to have a problem with? I show my music to different labels, they ain't too fond of it. But in the underground, I seem to get so many compliments. Say my name and it's like people get afraid and shook. But if you take a look, you'll see I'm nothing like an angry crook. I'm learning hands-on, you busy with your face and books. I'm here to benefit the world, so heaven's where we're safely put. I'm not a devil, not speaking in tongues. I just want to touch your heart, I try to reach it in songs. I'm from a child's futures on the streets with the bums. Because it's hard to become something so unique where I'm from. When the sun down, not turn away, the air so high, it may seem so that I can't see, but the God has provided the light for me. I don't wanna be lonely, and the road is my only homie. There's a higher power than show me, instead of not eternal rainbows. Obama's president, so what's it represent? Just because the niggas half black don't mean he's ever sent. You're clueless to evidence, and all the minds he's messing with. His charming smile hasn't got my ass about this effing shit. Fronting like he's truly Jesus, and all you fools believe it. The change he's making is good, that's just how you conceived it. It's like we all broken than ever. It's due to reasons dealing with self-beneficial plans and the movement he's with. Illuminati, or whatever the fuck they go by. They're the reason weird shit happens, and we don't know why. Why did Michael Jackson start his tour and have to go die? How did rap music go from really good to so dry? Real artists get shelved and whack ones get famous. To leave masses brainless, a smart mind is dangerous. In their eyes, there probably ain't no real shit in your playlist. You just a product of what the government is created. When the sun down, I turn away, but so in the air so high. It may seem so that I can't see, but the darkness provides the light for me. I don't wanna be lonely, and the road is my only homie. There's a higher power than show me, instead of not eternal rainbows. Yo, we're all smart, and we know what's bad and good for us. But yet when you got offered some marijuana, you took a puff. Your brain's a fucking powerhouse. But what, that wasn't good enough? It's people like you who talk that shit and coulda, woulda stuff. You probably threw your life away, cause you would rather get high with no license or car. So you bump rides to get by, saying I should've did this, or I shouldn't have hung with this guy. Or broke his fuck my rent's high. Oh, I should've realized I ain't being cool with these situations that I address. I more than likely could be someone you admire, yes, but it's because the blood, sweat, and all the time that I invest. We play the same game, difference is you never try your best. You don't have a skill, you set yourself up for a higher mess. I work around the clock, you slack off for lots of time to rest. Keep bullshit until your life is gone. Cause live is naturally hell, you have to work to put a smile on. Down. So high, it may seem so that I can't see, but the darkness provides the light for me. I don't wanna be lonely, and the road is my only homie. There's a higher power than show me, instead of not eternal rainbow. When the sun's down, nocturnal rainbow soar in the air so high. It may seem so that I can't see, but the darkness provides the light for me. I don't wanna be lonely, and the moon is my only homie. If there's a higher power, then show me, instead of nocturnal rainbows. Nocturnal rainbow soar in the air so high.
You know, sometimes when you're on set all day, you can have a good amount of downtime in between scenes. It turns out now you can play games and get paid for it. There's this app called Free Cash. At first I was like, oh, word, that's the name you're going with? You don't want to waste any creative energy coming up with a name for your app? But I had to try it for myself, you know, and basically you just play games on your phone. When you hit certain levels and they pay you. And I mean, they pay you real money to your PayPal or Visa or gift card or anything. Free Cash has paid over $252 million to 19 million users, rated 4.7 on Trustpilot. I've cashed out 7 times now. And I mean, it's not going to change your life. I want to be clear about that. But what it does do is it adds up. I mean, this right here, this covered all of my gas last week and the week before that. So if I'm playing anyway, I figure, why not? If you like it, you want to check it out, you click the link below. They give you $10 just for signing up. Have fun out there.
You just wanted to get people interested in space again.
Yes, yes.
Capture the imagination.
Yes, that was the idea.
You know, there are American heroes who don't like this idea. Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight in the way that you're developing it, and I wonder what you think of that.
I was very sad to see that because those guys are, yeah, those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough.
They inspired you to do this, didn't they?
Yes.
And to see them casting stones in your direction.
It's difficult.
When you had that third failure in a row, did you think, I need to pack this in?
No,
Why not?
I don't ever give up.
Let's get some resistant band in there.
Need an oil change today? Our Pit Crew certified technicians will walk you through what your car needs, plain language, without pressure. No appointment
Oh
needed.
yeah.
Well, my name is the same as my trauma, so it seems it's inherited from mama. But I'm just like her. I don't wanna hurt. And the message that she left took me right to the edge. She said, I love you so. I can feel it. Oh, it's seeping out of my pores and into my bones. Oh God, I beg you, please, please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. I won't make it on my own. I'm sorry for what I've done. I can be someone else. I can be someone else. I can be someone I had some shit I had to prove, so I put it on the line for you. But now you gotta take a side, yeah. You gotta choose. You can't play the middle like you used to. It's no excuse. I don't care what he said. You know I got my head screwed on real tight. Now you know that's a lie, but baby I tried. I can feel it. Oh, it's seeping out of my pores and into my bones. Oh God, I'm begging you, please, please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. I won't make it on my own. I'm sorry for what I've done. I can be someone else. I can be someone else. I can be someone else.
Like, what do you look for on Reels? Like a certain type of fashion? Tell us all about it. Color.
Yeah, futuristic.
Can you find one for me? Dress me. We're gonna give her the.
That one will look so good on her.
Thank you.
I can't play as Rihanna. It's not now, Skyrim. I love you, but you're gotta go feel outside really quick. Only for like 5 minutes or something. We're just gonna experience it. I just want to experience the heat. Oh yeah, I gotta make my bed first. Oh, you guys can still listen to music then. I'm just gonna go outside for 5 minutes, experience that beautiful heat, beautiful stickiness. Better check my wallet. That was my tummy. I must be hungry. Ooh. I can feel those in the hallway, actually. That's good. My windows even have condensation on them, so you know it's bad. Okay, start the 5-minute timer. supposed to possibly thunderstorm. If it does thunderstorm, I bet it's gonna be real bad. Excuse me. Thank you. Well, our grass got cut at least. Good. Grass got cut too. No, it's not the black family. That's black family moving out. After the 5 minutes, we might do the exercise bike. Exercise bike or the overheads. Well, we're definitely doing the exercise bike today. Gotta get at least an hour. So at least we get a little bit of exercise on stream. Accountability. Keep myself accountable. Damn. Finally all fell apart. Both at the same time. We could. We could try. I'll try at least 10. Do one set of it. 10 reps of it. Let's go. We could try. One, only 10. And the rest of the 90, actually 190. We'll do 200. We'll do normally. It's a midweek game. What, is it finally cooled off over there? And you're 3 minutes late, by the way, on your weenie time. You're 3 minutes late. Well, that's kind of nice. It's a little stained, but good enough for free. Oh, is that a big old... Should I take the mirror? The mirror's free. it's kind of scuffed in the back. Oh, that's got water damage now. Oh, it's got a few scuffs actually. Damn. So I'm collecting mirrors. That'd have been a $30 mirror, but it's kind of got scuffs. It's got water damage at the back, which I'm sure would dry out. But I'll just keep on keeping on. No, I was just playing with my bike. It's resistant bands to pull on when I. Do you ever use it? Actually, mine doesn't. That's lucky. You ever use the resistant bands? Mine doesn't have resistant bands. They're kind of cool. Cool. Yes. Good. Actually, I am trying to collect mirrors. I should be looking around because this is when everybody's getting rid of stuff. I should look for more mirrors. If I can find a $60 mirror for free on the side of the road, that'd be interesting. That poor crow. Sounds like his throat's parched. Yeah. I gotta forget if I have some more stuff. I should probably take it out, put it in the living room, so I remember to use them. But I had the resistant band in the closet. I was like, I should probably be using that. Oh, I gotta do my Hindis, my Hindu squats. Yeah, that one's bitching too much. I gotta do my Hindu squats. Somebody's moving out. Moving out. Oh, speaking of moving out, my brother gets I think it's Monday. Was it? Oh, yesterday. It could have been. Or I forget if it was this Monday or this Friday. But my brother is actually gonna go look at a place. I think that's my youngest. There's my youngest. Well, practically youngest. He's moving to a different place. Or is at least checking out a new place. Which he's pretty much the one that if he gets told he can move in, he'll pay for it. So it's really up to the person. If they like how he is, then he'll probably move into this new place. So that means one of the days I might not be able to do, actually, I'll still do my push-ups, but I don't know if we'll get to do a walk or whatever if he wants me to help him move. I'm just gonna strap the phone to the stabilizers I have and just gotta bring it up to his face. I have it strapped to my head. Help movement? Yeah. Usually. I did last time. Unless he feels like he can do it by himself. But yeah, I usually help them move if they need help. It doesn't really bother me. I have no back pain yet. Which I'm pretty lucky. A lot of people bitch about back pain. But also, I never get like leg pain. Like how people just walk Because I remember walking with people and eventually they'd be like, my legs hurt. I'd be like, what? I remember being like that literally when I was a kid. I was like, what? My legs hurt. I guess that's a common thing. Kind of got, for my size, I technically got thicker legs, so maybe I got extra tendons or something, or extra ligaments, or extra muscle in my legs. Just like when I'm usually biking, I don't usually feel any pain, even though Aaron said I'd feel pain last year. I guess I just won the lottery with that. I don't feel leg pain. Usually. My feet, I can feel it. It usually takes like 70,000 steps. Which is how many miles? Like 30? So I gotta walk 30 miles before my legs start. Or not even my legs, it's my feet. They usually start hurting. Bottom of the ankle. You're just squirrels. Yeah. Okay, plus. I think I've been out here for like 9 minutes, 10 minutes. Go back in. Ring a ding ding. Four cheese lasagna? Wild. I'm hungry. My stomach keeps on making noises. Now let's go do those Hindus. My Hindus. Before I forget. I gotta do 1450 today. I'll have to look. Excuse me. Hindu squats I gotta do. Hindus. Let's do our Hindus, please. The Hindus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 Hindus. We did it. Okay, we're gonna try to do the bacon. Reds. Only 10. We can try. Oh shit. Okay. Quick 10. Well, that'd be interesting. I gotta do the bench really quick. Just 6 of them. Well, should I get started on the exercise bike?
let's get started.
Well, Jim, whether you've been lying down on your mattress or listening on your earbuds, either way, there's still more show. Bad transition, but here we are. And of course, you watched Raw. This is the big one. This is the Raw before WrestleMania. This isn't the big one. Well, it's supposed to be. It's the go-home show for WrestleMania. The Raw after WrestleMania is the big one. Well, that is the big one. That is the big one. But this is still the go-home show for WrestleMania. You think you have to? That's the Ram. The Raw after Mania is the big one. Is the Ram. This was the Rab. No, Raw Raw before Mania. See, I can't make an acronym. This was a lousy Raw. It wasn't lousy, but they did everything already. They got there. They couldn't have Jay, zip tied to the ropes again with Gunther bathing in his mother's blood. They've done that. They've done most of the angles. They had the triple threat participants to save them in the main event spot of this, but otherwise they had some matches and they had some interviews. And the interviews were good. But they had 8 or 10 weeks of build and 4 to 6 weeks of material, and they just stretched it, didn't they? The build has been lackluster despite there being hot things, but, Jey Uso and Gunther, they found a way. I apologize for the wind behind me. They found a way to keep it moving and big things happen, but even that, which I think they did as well as almost anything for the build for WrestleMania, it still feels like it went too long. The three-way stuff with Punk and Rollins and
Reigns is really intriguing, and again, that's one of the few things you're really looking forward to that was built well on the show. The extra time didn't help, and I also just think, cosmically, just in the overall picture, the Rock's return for the Cena turn ended up kind of being a big distraction. And I don't know if that's the specific point, but it feels like the show is kind of, I don't know, the direction doesn't feel as direct as it did for a while.
The direction doesn't feel as direct. But they were in Sacramento, California. They had 14,000 fucking people. I remember Raw in the 90s back in Sacramento. They didn't have 14,000 people. So they're doing something right. And Gunther came out first. And again, can I sing the praises of my man, Herr Gunther? What the... He's great. Because normally you would get... If a guy's a tremendous in-ring worker, but he's from another country, and English is his second language, it would be a struggle. His accent makes the promos. He's one of the best promos in the business today. Because he sounds like he looks like he should sound, and he says the things that make sense for him to say. He is not phony about himself or see-through in any way. And he did a promo. He came out with purpose and called Michael Cole into the ring. Apparently it was going to happen later on, but Gunther just wouldn't wait. And the people were booing the shit out of him, but he didn't let it throw him off, as some other people, Charlotte, and other people have done. And he's enjoying that they're booing him, but he's not letting it fucking take over. He still said his shit. And he got the yeet chance, and Michael Cole's trying to ask him, screw your questions, screw Jey Uso and everybody that stands with Jey Uso. See, that's the accent that he uses. And he did a good heel promo, and he said, if you think I went too far with Jimmy, I've never lost control of myself. I've always been in control. I love taking a bath in your brother's blood. Now that's a fucking heel.
What's up, y'all? This is Anderson Kobe, and this is Carnivore Questions. Carnivore protein.
It was a great heel promo, and that's what he did. He did the promo, and then he left. He's selling the match, and there's nothing wrong with that, because he's already bathed in the brother's blood. But, boy, howdy, I tell you what, they fucking lucked out with him. With him and Drew McIntyre, Punk and Seth and Roman's issue and Jacob Fatu, Braun Breaker, and a couple of other things, you can see that they've got shit not only set up with stars now, but stars that are going to be stars for a while. And they're worth watching. Except not for 3 fucking hours.
It's a long time. That's the issue.
Every time that on Netflix, they go to a break, I try to fast forward. I'll fast forward 3 or 4 minutes, I'll come up in a commercial. I'll fast forward 2 or 3 minutes, I'll come up in a promo spot. I'll come up in a travel log. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Did you have any comments about that before we move on to hear the response from the other side of this match?
No comments other than I agree with you. I think Gunther, his accent helps. His facial expressions are a big help. He gives off an arrogance that seems like it comes natural. And, good promo.
But at the same time, there's and before we get to Jey Uso, as a matter of fact, Gunther is a great heel. And everything he does is so natural and so genuine or whatever. I've never met him. I've never heard a bad thing about him either. I bet you he's a nice guy. Because there's 2 kinds of heels. There's the kind of heel that knows how to be a heel, and there's the kind of heel that's a heel just because he's a fucking dick. And here came Logan Paul later on in the program to confront AJ Styles. And they showed a great... Did you see the video they did on him? Did you see this part?
I did not see the video, no.
They did a great video of all the shit that he does because he's a shameless self-promoter and he's obviously stuck on himself to have the energy to go do all these things and stick himself in the middle of it. But whether he's boxing or whether he's on the fucking social interwebs or whether he's in a race car, whether they did a video with him doing a voiceover, putting himself over, he looked like a big fucking deal. And you can tell that it's his shit too. That he comes up because it's natural to him, but you can also tell that he's pretty much a dick. So he came out and did that promo, and then AJ said, well, why don't we just fight? And they had a fight, and Karrion Kross was in there getting in the way, and he, helped out so that Logan Paul could get the advantage, and he knocked out AJ with the big right hand and gave him that flipping DDT move that I hope he doesn't try to give it to anybody bigger than fucking AJ, because that could be dangerous. But they have a match, and as we've mentioned, it's a match so that they do some high spots with each other. I'm sure there'll be excellent springboard work.
Here's another example with this WrestleMania build. Has there ever been a Logan Paul match in WWE that just didn't feel, you just kind of felt like an afterthought?
Yeah, and I think the new has worn off of, remember, didn't Logan Paul, he had a match with Ricochet so they could do spots, right? Or was it another one of the flying?
They did spots together in the Royal Rumble, I think it was, but I don't remember. They may have had a singles match too, but
there was another match he had one time. It wasn't really, and we talked about it. I can't remember who it was against, but it wasn't really a match to add to the card. It was a match to have Logan Paul be able to do his dive or his gymnastics or whatever. And I think this is the same thing because they haven't really done anything with AJ lately. So it's just, it's there. But, normally I would chastise them for putting money-drawing guys in non-money-drawing positions, but they've got so many money-drawing guys that, maybe they just wanted Logan to do some leapfrogs. So that is that. But anyway, then we had, after much more fast-forwarding and soul-searching, Jey Uso to come out and do the Yeet Fest. And this was his chance to sell the match. And he came out, stood on the announce desk and milked it. And they chanted for him and they yeeted for, they love him. They restarted the music so they could do more yeeting and bowing and gesticulating and communicating. And then he started doing the regular yeet promo where he'll say something real quick so they can yeet. But he again dug in and said, not only is Gunther, he was intimidated before, but now Gunther's afraid. You can tell Gunther's afraid of me. And I'm going to beat him on Saturday. And establish we can bet the farm on that. And then they hit his music and they did some more yeeting. The people just love that. And they got him to the point where, he bowed up out of his slump and now he's not scared anymore and he's going to beat Gunther and Gunther will be fine, I'm hoping.
Oh wait, bro, is this guy actually ripping a Nick pouch before his PR in the gym? Is that a nicotine pouch in the gym?
No way.
And then,
good promo. I mean, it shouldn't surprise anyone. Jey Uso excels at emotional segments, at segments where he doesn't have to be perfect on the promo. That's where the emotion helps. You believe him. You get behind him. You understand his motivation. What the match will be, let's see. But really good. And, as far as go-home stuff for WrestleMania, the three-way is kind of its own animal. I don't feel anything about Cody and Cena at the moment. It feels like it's been weeks since they've done anything. But this has continued to go, and I think this was a great go-home for WrestleMania promo. It was the right time for this promo.
And it'll be one of the more emotional matches, and probably the big response of the night, when he wins the thing. And you mentioned Cody and Cena when we ran down earlier in the show. The matches, I don't think I actually came out and said it, but I think at this point, Cena's going to win. And they're going to do something for his last year where Cody is chasing. I don't want to compare Ronnie Garvin and Ric Flair in September 1987 or whatever, but Cody will chase him for a little while and get it back. Because, remember I said a week or so ago when Cody just laid Cena out with the one crossroads and boom, it was done. It seems like they need another physical angle for Cena to get some heat on him. If they don't do one between now and then, I'm convinced that Cody is going to lose the thing.
Well, the only chance to do it would be SmackDown, which is, the day
The night before is cutting it a little close.
Yeah, I mean, so.
Well, 2 nights before the match, but
But still, I mean, that's just relying on social media buzz, not a week worth of TV to build or.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, it's a different world, a different model, but even if they do another big thing, it just feels like, it can't just be the 2-week difference in running WrestleMania on Easter weekend as opposed to the end of March or early April. It just feels like everything kind of fell. I don't know, everything's just kind of happening, but nothing happens. And WrestleMania, I guess, needs to happen, and we can move on from all this, but, man, good promo from Jey Uso.
Yes, and can you imagine if it was Easter Sunday and Vince was still around, he'd have a match in a ring filled with rabbits. They did the camels for Las Vegas.
You have to wonder if running Easter weekend is one of the reasons it's not sold out. Is it just because it's in Vegas and Vegas is not the right place to do an event like this, or is it also because of, what's happening in the world, which is Easter, which is one of the major holidays?
What's happening in the world is not only Easter, but it's also everybody's worried about the goddamn global economy.
Yeah, everyone's worried about spending.
So, let's go to Las Vegas. Most people aren't probably going to go to Las Vegas for fun right now if they already had their trip plan paid for. I don't think it's a whim purchase these days. There's a lot of things. We talked about the WrestleMania documentary. Las Vegas is traditionally a city for major events, but it's never until the modern era, the last, 20 years, done huge crowds for wrestling, and this is the ultimate huge crowd for wrestling. And it's in the middle. You can't drive there from almost anywhere. So, and the ticket prices, I'm saying they're doing fine. We're not going to have any benefits for them, but they're not going to do 100,000 people a night in Las Vegas, no matter what the ticket prices are, if everybody's got to fucking take a plane. Anyway, speaking of people who arrive late to events, see how I did that there, Brian? You would think that somebody would crack down. Vince, when the guys hadn't signed in at 2 o'clock on TV day, he would find them. But Paul Heyman was in the back. Show long, he's waiting for Roman Reigns, and then finally we're 2 hours into the program, and Roman isn't there, Paul's sitting back there, and Punk comes into the frame and sits right next to him, and he says to him, "I've never seen you look so stressed." And you see behind them as they're sitting there, an SUV is pulling up, but Paul and Punk don't notice it, and Punk says, "Look in my eyes. What do you see?" And Heyman goes, "A cult of personality." And Punk laughs and puts his arm around Paul and hugs him and says, "No, a real friend." And right at that point, you see out of the SUV gets Roman Reigns, who looks over and sees Heyman and Punk sharing a laugh and a hug. And he gets the fucking stink face. And Paul turns around and looks and shits himself. And Roman starts walking toward the gorilla position, and Paul's following, my tribal chief, my tribal chief. And out comes Roman into the arena, and Paul's behind him, and Roman's giving him the over-the-shoulder stink eye, like, "I'm going to look at you." And they get in the ring, and Paul's got the microphone waiting for Roman to gesture for it as he usually does, and Roman walks by him and bumps into him production assistant at ringside. And right in front of Paul, he says, Cucamonga, where are they? Sacramento, acknowledge me. The whole world can hear that. You never betray your tribal chief. Some people would betray me. Wise man, how could you betray me? And they start chanting, you fucked up. And the Netflix censor is trying to, he gets up better than he gets fucked. I don't know, but they can't bleep it. They try. And Roman said, why, Paul? And when Paul started talking, he started to get booed. But he said, my tribal chief, it was not a betrayal. I paid back a favor I owed. He almost sounded a little like Russo there, unnaturally pronouncing a word. But then Roman's problem is, I never asked for favors, because I take what I want. I never asked for this. The only person getting screwed here in this thing is me. Why should I have to suffer because you owe some dumbass favor? And boom, there comes Seth's music, and here he comes. Seth Franklin Rollins, dressed like a plumber in an S&M club. And he motivates to the ring. It had lots of woeing going on. And here, Seth cut this promo, and Brian, tell me what you thought here, but this promo that he cut is not what the people wanted to hear, because it didn't particularly get over or wasn't really gripping. It was all about how the winner will determine the future of the industry, and it can't be Roman and it can't be Punk. It can't be this promo either, is what I wrote. It almost sounded like an AEW style, the fans on the internet will understand this type of thing. Did you feel that?
And how does it make sense? How is this the future of the industry? Not to say that it would be true, but if one of the guys was the world champion and the belt was on the line, then at least as an argument, this is 3 top stars wrestling a 3-way match where, besides winning the match, you don't win anything. Maybe you win Heyman. I don't know. So, you can't say it's for the future of the industry.
But then you'd have to take him home and feed him.
Quite frankly, that's the argument that you would make in the Cody Cena situation. Cena saying, I'm going to win the belt and go home with it and take away your world title. So Cody wants to defeat Cena to save the industry. That's where the argument works.
Well, Seth was talking for a while and it didn't really land. But the story was, he's telling Roman, I chose not to put Paul in the hospital so he can pay that favor back if he wants, but he's a scumbag, so I don't expect it. But Paul is in Punk's corner because he made a choice. He's not just returning a favor, he's choosing. Why, Roman, is he choosing CM Punk over you? And Paul's facials, again, are great, and the way that his jowls flap in the wind when he's nervous. And Paul's downplaying it. Don't listen to him. Off microphone. Don't listen to him. It's him. What is it? And Roman says he's right. You made your choice and I've made mine. And then Roman turns around and levels Seth. And grabs him and runs him into the post. And Paul's laughing. And he's like, I acknowledge you, my tribal chief. You had me. You had me. And Roman grabs Paul's face, pie faces him, and rolls him down. You can't really say shove him down. He rolled him down. But as Paul goes down, now shock is on his face. And everybody's, oh! And suddenly, like Mussolini to save Pauline, here comes Punk. And they're down to 2 minutes left right now. So they get in a fight. Boom, boom, boom. And Punk clotheslines Roman over the top and then goes to check on Paul, but doesn't realize that Roman has slid back in the ring. And when he turns around, Roman spears Punk, and he gets on top of him and is beating the shit out of him. But Seth has a chair and nails Roman Reigns in the back with the chair like he did years ago with the Shield situation. And then he gave the curb stomp to Punk, and he gave the curb stomp to Roman. and stood there over them as Paul was mortified.
Come with me to shop Ashley's Stars and Stripes sale. This place is littered with deals, and you can literally save up to $1,000 off your entire purchase right now.
And so we still don't know what the fuck might be going on here. And you, Brian Last, you still say you believe that it may be that Paul Heyman will throw a wrench into everybody's plans and leave with Seth Franklin Rollins?
I don't know. That seems like an option, but because it seems like an option, it could be a false turn.
A MacGuffin from Hitchcock.
I think Rollins is the one set up to win the match, whether Heyman turns or not. Whether Heyman accidentally cost Punk and Roman the match as opposed to consciously doing it, or maybe Heyman leaves with Brock. Who really knows? But I think, tell me what you think. I think Rollins is kind of set up to win this, and I think it helps him the most to win it.
I'm starting to go along with you, because most people would have probably discounted that at the start of this thing, and it may be now the way to go in the end. But everybody is still technically a babyface, even though they have their own issues with each other. And I think whoever cracks and actually does something beyond the pale will get a ton of heat out of this. And it doesn't make sense to turn Punk heel, and it doesn't make sense to turn Roman back heel so quickly. But Seth, it might not be a leap.
Well, with Roman, though, he's not really acting like a babyface. And I understand sometimes, as a heel, you stay heel, and that's what makes you a babyface.
Yeah, he's got to. He can't change most of the things he's doing right now. But, you were going to say...
No, I was just going to say Roman's kind of a to himself. The booking just seems the most curious about. And if that was a sentence that made any sense, it didn't. And neither did that one. He two in a row.
Here's the thing, and then we'll move along. Be merciful to you. Roman's part-time, and I don't, know that he gives a shit whether he's a babyface or a heel as long as he's making money and featured. But there's a way Roman could turn heel if he blatantly fucks someone and does something that an honorable tribal chief shouldn't do. That's how he can turn heel. Otherwise, he just has to do the same stuff that Roman Reigns has always done, and that's the appeal. And then Paul can't be a babyface long term, but I'm not saying it has to end right now, but he knows that it's odd that people would be cheering for the devious, corpulent, fucking mastermind and manipulator, the wise man. So this is a temporary situation. But we shall see what happens at the big WrestleMania.
I'm not really that excited. I'm sure something will happen Friday to pull me in the Hall of Fame, maybe nice. But I'm just really not that into WrestleMania this year.
The Hall of Fame may be nice. It'll be worth sitting through 8 hours of other wrestling.
Well, we didn't even discuss it. You said they have legacy inductees this year?
Oh, actually, I didn't. Do they have more of the legacies?
Yeah, let me tell you who they are. There's 3 people.
Which is a nice way of saying, here's people that should have always been in any wrestling Hall of Fame, but we just now realized.
All right, this year, the WWE will be inducting 3 new people to the legacy wing of the Hall of Fame. Ivan Koloff will now finally be a WWE Hall of Famer. Dory Funk Sr. will be entering the Hall of Fame. And finally, Kamala. Kamala will be entering the Hall of Fame.
Okay, well,
Kamala.
I heard about Kamala, but I didn't realize it was the legacy thing. But Ivan Koloff, why he hasn't been in years ago? He was a WWF champion and one of the top 3 heels of the 70s. That's been curious for a while. Dory Funk Sr., not that he doesn't belong in any wrestling Hall of Fame, but where did that come from for the WWE of modern day? And Kamala, they couldn't give him a regular induction? He's from the 80s, for God's sake. Coco Ware had a regular induction.
And if he has family, I'm sure the fans would love that. If Kamala's family came out to talk about what the business meant to their father or their family member.
That's well, there you go.
I mean, they got Dory Funk Jr. at an NXT show, so they saw him and they said, Dory, we want to induct your father to Hall of Fame. You don't have to give a speech or anything. You don't have to show up. Stay here with Marty, you know. Again, Ivan Koloff was alive for years and around, and they could have. It's
well, most people are.
Well, it's puzzling they didn't put him in the Hall of Fame. It's a puzzling thing.
Well, that's what I said. Yes, it's very puzzling. They could have, and Kamala.
Yeah.
Kamala, they could have done that at any point.
Well,
Jesus Christ.
That's what it is, and that was WWE Raw, and that was the Hall of Fame news here at the end.
I needed some inspiration for how to wear them, so I asked ChatGPT to help me. It was so useful to brainstorm how to wear them for different occasions like work, going out, running errands, and date night.
I can't keep track of all my subscriptions, but my BFF Experian can, and could help me easily cancel the ones I don't need. Get the Experian app now. Experian.
Cena has won the Elimination Chamber and will go on to face Cody at the big WrestleMania extravaganza. And they did the replays of the match and the finish and the celebration there, and then boom, Cody music hits. And Cody comes to the ring, and they're Cody and Cena. Couple different generations, but the guy and the company. And they're, Cody's gesturing you and me at WrestleMania, and Cena is, and they shake hands. Looks like it's going to be a friendly contest, Brian. And then suddenly, The Rock's music hits. And you look, and it ain't The Rock, it's Travis Scott. And with his own title belt, and apparently coming to the ring accompanied by some of his own shitty music. If this was his music, I don't really care to see any more of Travis Scott. But it didn't look like that he was bringing the house down in the Toronto Sky Dome either. Until after a bit of milking, the Rock stepped out, and then I thought you're biased, but tell me what you think. Was The Rock's ovation kind of muted because they had seen Travis Scott there and they thought they were being fucking zoomed somehow?
I thought it was a little bit, but I don't know if that was the cause. I think it's a bit of a misstep. I understand leaning into celebrity, and Travis Scott wants to wrestle, and WWE
wants to wrestle,
and WWE's all about, TKO's all about embracing celebrity, but this isn't Mike Tyson and this isn't Dennis Rodman. Like, this is not someone who all of America knows, and it just seemed ridiculous that he was a part of this whole thing.
Yeah, well, standing in the ring during an angle, which we'll get to in a minute, and trying to get physical. I think, did I see footage? Did he slap Cody in the ear?
Well, I saw when it happened, and then we'll talk later on about the press scrum, what was said about it, but it appears they slapped Cody in the face, and it appears The Rock told him, you better get blood on your hands. And he did. He took The Rock at his word, and he actually hit Cody. If I was Cody, I can't wait for my fucking receipt. Oh my God.
Fuck out his eardrum, he might have got the blood from. He slapped him in the ear from if I was Big Cody, I'd have got up and make Rock knock me out again after I killed that son of a bitch. But nevertheless, so point being, we're getting ahead of ourselves. The Rock came out with
Lucas. Can you hear me?
It's Travis Scott and his Mark belt. And they took forever to get to the ring, and there was a lot of milking of this. And The Rock tried to lay down the premise again, where, I want to open my arms And Cody Rhodes will come into my arms and I will embrace him as his brother and my brother, and we're all brothers. And just in return, I want Cody's mind and soul. And this got to the, did you hear it? Wasn't. They didn't rock the house with it, but the crowd was starting to what the rock. And it not in places it was. There was a bit of them starting to what the rock, not in places designed to be whatted. It was like the Who's in Whoville. It was fake, but it was there, and it was starting to get bigger, and I switched up gears. But the point, if the answer is yes, then Cody will live forever. And if it's no, then tonight the dream dies again. And the people didn't respond to that. He's obviously talking about Dusty because he has a weight belt with the date of Dusty's death and Cody's soul written on it. Rock loves visual aids. I mean, they are quite good.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
Period for U.S. financial markets and commodities. Now, understandably, the world's attention fixed on oil.
Visual aids, and I mean they are quite good. But so I was getting the impression from this because nobody is screaming at Cody, no, don't do it, no. It like they would have in previous generations, and when a baby face would have to make a choice at a crossroads, and I don't think they've wanted to. I don't think the fans I'm talking about, I don't think they've liked the pitch of this. I don't think they liked when it came up to begin with. I don't think they wanted to see Cody involved in this. And then when Cody milked it, I don't think they've wanted to see Cody seriously considering this, which is the way it's been portrayed, that he would be seriously considering it.
Considering what, though? That's my whole point. Considering what?
Well, considering this, the idea of selling out to the man and becoming the Rock's puppet is what's implied with "I want your soul." But again, it's such a nebula. I'll give you everything you ever dreamed of if you'll just put a song with me on Thursdays. What does he have to do
differently than what he's doing right now to sell his soul to the Rock and be his champion?
That has not been delineated as to how he would have to modify his behavior, which is another one of the reasons why I don't think people are really have been into this except see it over with. And that's why when Cody finally says, I want it all, Rock. I want it all. I want all the fame and fortune and blah, blah, blah. But my soul no longer belongs to me. Why? Because I've already given it to this ring and these people. And they say, hey, Rock, go fuck yourself. And they didn't even bleep fuck. Because it's a premium live event. A premium fucking live event is the way they ought to sell them now. And he got a giant pop with that. Hey, Rock, go fuck yourself, because that's what they wanted to. What is my number one rule of a babyface promo going back to anything I've ever said in public about it? The babyface at some point needs to say what the fans want to say about a guy or to a guy or about a situation or whatever, but they don't have the platform. And a lot of people want to say, hey, Rock, go fuck yourself. Yeah! They love that. And then The Rock kind of stood there somewhat dumbfounded. And that's when Cena comes up and he hugs Cody. They're laughing about what he said to The Rock, and he hugs Cody, and they're all smiles and everything. And then they get and again, Brian, I wonder if they have those things in the WWE called production meetings. You know, the things we were talking about recently that AEW doesn't have because their show isn't finished in time for them to have one. I wonder if WWE has production meetings. Or do you think the handheld camera guy is just so, he's Nostradamus. He knows exactly where to be to get the over-the-shoulder facial shot of the change in expression that can then be cut to the shot of The Rock where he gives the signal and Cena frowns and that frown is turned upside down when he stands up and he kicks Cody Rhodes right in the balls. That again, they're cutting back and forth of a live event that is happening in real time, and they're getting close-ups of people's facial expressions. This is goddamn major league shit. Kevin Dunn was in summer school, maybe when they taught that stuff. He was in detention or whatever. But that's what happened is, as soon as Cody said, go fuck yourself to The Rock, Cena hugs him for it and looks at The Rock. The Rock gives the signal, and Cena stands up and kicks Cody right in the balls. And then Cena grabs Cody's watch, I believe. Who was it? Was it Michael Cole or somebody? Said he's got breast nuts. He obviously picked up a watch. You could almost see Timex on it. But he picked up the watch and put it on like Nux and punches Cody. And hits him with a microphone, and hits him with a title belt, and hits him again with a title belt. And by now, Cody's bleeding. And Cena rips Cody's shirt off, and he chokes him with his tie. Brian, do you think they thought to fire him like they did Danielson? With the choking with the NXT announcer or whatever with the tie that time?
We got a fuck, the commentator said shit, and then we got this. I think it's a whole new era.
I thought you meant the commentators actually took a shit.
It's a whole new era.
I thought you meant the commentators actually took a shit. And then the rapper, as we mentioned, tried to do something and was very awkward and potatoed Cody. And then The Rock whipped Cody with the weight belt, and then they stood on him. And the one thing, again, there's enough attention to detail in this and with The Rock that it's something that they didn't want to do, and they made the choice rather than nobody thinking about it. Nobody tried to fucking stop this. What business in Hollywood, fucking Manhattan, Wall Street, do you have a member of the board of directors of a company beating up one of the most valuable employees of the company, and nobody else of any kind of goddamn standing in the company is even trying to get in to separate him and help save it? Now, please, let's not hurt Cody. He has to main event a $100 million show in 6 weeks. If there was some effort, it would be nice. But it went for quite a while because the final boss, I believe, likes being the final boss. But now we got John Cena in the grip of the corporate puppet masters. And before we get to my thoughts on that, this angle in your mind.
I think the moment was exceptional. From the go fuck yourself to The Rock standing there, to the Cena hug, and Cena's face. This face that we've seen smiling for years, all of a sudden, he turned into a cop who's been on the beat for way too long. His face dropped. And again, they shot it well, but he did great. The Rock doing the signal.
So somebody on Twitter said Jim Varney has turned into a sullen bastard.
The Rock doing the cutthroat signal was perfect. It was just vicious the way he did that. And it was great. I agree with you. No one ran in to make a save. I know Triple H can't get physical, but he could be at ringside ordering people to save Cody. Something. I didn't like the idea that no one saved Cody and, that's the way the show ends with them standing over him. With Cena turning here, potentially you also give him a reason to turn back at the end of his year because he gets fed up with The Rock. Because I can't imagine he's going to retire as a heel. That would be the most stunning thing of all, I think. Yeah. And obviously he's sick of Make-A-Wish as the other big takeaway. No, I thought
Well, now he's going to start another organization called Take-A-Wish. He wants some back.
That's funny. They should do
We're gonna have to go to his place and start doing shit for him.
Cody, the only way you're gonna beat me in Mania is if you make a wish. But I think the angle was great. I think the moment was great. I wouldn't compare it to the NWO, which a lot of people have done, the Hogan turning heel and joining with Hall and Nash. There, the reaction was very different. And although Cena's been a babyface forever, although you got to see him as a heel, obviously, he's been a babyface forever. It's different than when Hogan turned. I wouldn't compare the two, and I wouldn't compare the visceral reaction. Also, he's turning kind of under The Rock as opposed to Hogan turning to be revealed as the leader of something.
Well, and besides that, Hogan was reviving his career at that point, whereas Cena was already hot and he was about to leave anyway. And that's what I agree. And again, I said earlier, I believe I did in the course of this diatribe, The Rock I've always thought was a great performer. As I think probably said he could come out and read the phone book. But lately he's been reading the same page of the phone book twice, where he came out on NXT just not knowing what was going on, and he seemed somewhat full of himself as a heel on camera, that's fine, but also quite a bit full of himself off camera as, is this another Russo-esque type of thing where I invented air and water and I have an opinion on everything and I'm making everything better because I'm in it. The way that they got here, I know everybody said, well, you just enjoy the ride the Rock is taking you on. He insinuated himself into this thing, kind of switched back and forth a couple of times between are we supposed to like you or not. Then established that we're not supposed to like him on TV, but we're supposed to like him more in real life because he's done such a great job of being an asshole on television. Then turn John Cena heel. If they were going to turn John Cena heel, I'm not sure they needed The Rock in the middle of this. It was done brilliantly. But also, to me, business-wise, I'm thinking, and I'm not even talking about what's best to make the best show or, what win angle of the year, but they've got a lifelong babyface, the most popular guy that they had at one point for a 10-year-long period, John Cena.
John Cena.
One more appearance in 30 cities or whatever, and some of those are going to be on premium live event. And the kids have always loved him, and as a chant of merchandise, and he's taking a farewell lap. If this, I would have said, yeah, go for it, wholeheartedly without reservation. If they hadn't already said he's only going to be here for another fucking 30 shows this year and he's done. A turn this big with somebody of that stature, you could get a few years out of it, but they've got a limited amount of time. Are they losing millions of dollars in merchandise sales? Do they think the people are smart and it doesn't matter? But does the 8-year-old kid that they might have caught this time around because of their parents, do they want the John Cena Is it hustle, loyalty, and respect, or is it hot lesbian action with The Rock? I don't know what the fuck's going on. They've turned the guy that's almost done. I guess my thing is, would they come out as well or ahead if they just had the John Cena retirement tour and sold all that merchandise, sold all those tickets, seen one more time, instead of doing an angle that would set him up as a top heel normally for the next 2 or 3 or 4 years? Your thoughts?
I mean, that's more of a question for you because you are really more the expert with this stuff. That's the question. You're doing the Cena heel turn now. You know, we heard from a lot of people that are like, you see it all gave us this. And you're right, it's going to run out pretty soon. It would have been a lot different if he had turned in 2015 or something. It would have been a lot different. It would have been under Vince, too. But it's something that has a big impact. Again, he's kind of the champion for The Rock, which is interesting. Cena is big enough to turn heel and be his own guy. It's an interesting role for him to have right now. That is what it is. It's a role where he's going to kind of be working for the corporate Rock, I guess.
And he's a movie star, too. He doesn't need the auditions.
Obviously, The Rock can't work. I don't even know if The Rock could bend over and touch his toes at this point without going to the hospital and needing surgery or something. So it's interesting that they're going to try to incorporate him as this heel overboss, but he can't really do anything in the ring beyond injuries or anything. And the real reason why the injuries would matter is it would screw up his films. And that's the priority, not this. So it's going to be very interesting. I think the moment and the angle was great for everyone who tweeted out or something. You need to apologize to The Rock. You need to get off his dick. He's not going to buy you a fucking truck unless he can film it and unless you're famous already. Seriously. The way it was set up to this, see, it made complete sense that he was incoherent in the ring on NXT. No, it doesn't. I'm starting to wonder if he's drinking when he comes out, because he's drinking during the scrum. The angle was great. The moment was great. Let's see where they go with this. But don't try to sell me on everything making sense or being good up to this point. The reaction he's come out to the last couple of times has told the story.
You can get the murderer in a fucking murder mystery without the fucking story leading up and it being an exciting finish without the story leading up to it making any sense. If you pick it apart, well, what about all these loopholes? The guy couldn't have, he was in Phoenix the whole day the murder happened. But it doesn't. The point is, it's a good fucking deal. It was executed exactly as they wanted it to be done, and the people reacted to it live, and they've been talking, positive or negative or indifferent, they've been talking about it ever since. But it started off a little shady, and I think they polished it based on what was being talked about was going wrong.
Based on the way you're reacting, do you think it's crazy they're going to have Cena as a heel for his last year?
Would I say crazy or just, I don't know, if that's a thing that they should have done or not.
It's probably something, something he wanted to do. He's probably going to have a great time doing it.
Well, yeah, because he'll have fun, because he don't give a shit. He's done at the end of the year. And it's not like John's a guy that takes, he's not Bruno in terms of taking it that seriously that he would always be a baby fetish. I think he'll drink wine around children. But, again, that's the thing. I'm not saying that he doesn't want to do it. I'm just saying if I was running the business and what would I get the most out of, I don't know that it needed to be done at this point. Or whether he should have been allowed to go ahead and ride off into the sunset after having sold $17 million worth of merchandise or whatever.
It'll be interesting, too, because one of the things we anticipated was all the merch for the goodbye tour, like Derek Jeter coming to every stadium for the last time. Cena was going to go to all these different places. The final time, it'll be the last time here t-shirt in every single town. I guess they still could do it. They still may do it.
But now the people are going to be saying, yeah, good riddance.
Or they, for the first time, will ever do heel Cena merchandise now. I mean, it's a very interesting thing, and You know, you say that a lot of guys are kind of riding that wave where they're heels or baby faces based on the situation. This is clearly someone being a heel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He looked at a guy and kicked him in the balls at the behest of another man or another person. It wasn't in a sexual way.
And the way his face dropped, that was the best.
Yeah.
That's the best acting he's ever done. That was amazing. And again, The Rock, the viciousness with which he delivered the cutting of the throat, the whole way that was done was perfect.
Introducing Best Bathroom Stops, your new go-to app for navigating the often overlooked.
Well, Jim, as I was saying, it's time for the main event.
It certainly is. John Cena's last You Can't See Me Hurrah. And they brought Gunther out, and that's what this obviously all through the match. It was the crowd was into everything. But then this was what they came to see. But they did the long panning, and they got the Cena chants, everybody standing up, and then they just had to turn the lights off, and oh. And then they hit the music, and it's a giant pop. And out comes Cena, and he's milking it at the end. All right, before we leave the world of the WWE, a few comments on the Ric Flair Evil, WWE Evil. They're doing profiles of all the dastardly heels, right? And last week was Randy Orton, and I went back and I caught some of that, but I didn't have time to go through the whole thing. But I liked this one better than I like most of these profiles and documentaries because the younger guys, they spend the entire show pretty much, everybody that, all the talking heads, anybody that knows them or comments on them, and even the subject of the particular program, they will spend the majority of the time telling you how they weren't really that, how they made you hate them on purpose, how that it was all a carefully contrived act to make you hate them, and they weren't really like that. And with this show, everybody from Flair on down said, no, this was fucking Flair. This is Flair. It's the way he lived the whole fucking life. He was better than everybody else, and he let them know it. And he had more money and more women and blah, blah, blah. He did the whole thing. Whereas as a result of that, you know, he doesn't have more money now or more women, but he went through it all. But at least this guy was real. That's the problem with a documentary or a profile on any of the modern talent is the first thing you find out is they're completely not really who you thought they were. So that would, but otherwise, I told you you would love the footage on this and you would hate the talking heads. How accurate was I?
The talking heads were ridiculously inadequate for any sort of historical wrestling piece. They get the biggest bubbleheads who are only there because they blow WWE. And they know that they're safe, and they'll say stupid shit that usually isn't historically accurate. That Shoemaker guy was back.
Well, I know, but not even historically accurate. Just it's like asking me to comment on the space program. What the fuck do I know about it?
If you were an expert in it, you could talk to it. But these people, they're expert in being wrestling fans and wanting to be involved with WWE. They're not experts in actual wrestling history. And it was just a bunch of idiots talking, giving their opinions on Ric Flair. So I don't think that helped.
I jotted some of them down. Because you said I don't even know where WWE found these people because I don't know who some of them are. Dr. Phil, ladies and gentlemen, was legitimately on this program talking about Ric Flair. Ric Flair. As you mentioned, who is David Shoemaker? Who is he even a fan, or what does he do in pertaining to the world, the periphery of wrestling that you would ask him to comment on? So I've never heard the name before the last documentary where we said, who the fuck is this guy?
The Andre the Giant documentary where he talked with confidence about how Andre would tour the country as a heel and the top good guy would wrestle the heel giant all throughout the country. This guy doesn't know anything, and he's an idiot. He's part of Bill Simmons' team, and he's got a wrestling wrestling podcast apparently over there for a while. And I think if you don't know, if you're a casual fan who doesn't know much, maybe you hear something like that and you think you know something, but anyone who actually knows something looks at a guy like that and goes, this guy's of the highest magnitude, and he exposes himself as that every time, and he keeps doing it. And I'll say one last thing, and I've liked 30 for 30s, and I've liked some other stuff, but one of the biggest indictments of Bill Simmons is the fact that this guy, who knows nothing about wrestling, is a purported wrestling expert for Bill Simmons. And they use him in documentaries, ones that the Andre the Giant one, and then ones like this, the guy knows nothing. And that's what's ridiculous. And I think there's too many people out there who call themselves wrestling experts or wrestling journalists or different things. And there are real wrestling journalists. I'm not saying it's everyone, but there are certain people, it's just a class of idiot you don't find in other places.
Ron Funches. He's a comedian, right?
I think so.
So I've seen on Twitter or something, Ron Funches connected to being a comedian. We mentioned Dr. Phil. Peter Rosenberg and Sam Roberts are DJs on the radio, right? So we know this much.
They're New York radio guys who are big wrestling fans, and that's what WWE looks for. Friendly radio people who will be so happy to be involved with us that they'll just blow us all the time, endlessly. And that's what they got.
Oh.
But basically, Shawn was on there, and Shawn Michaels, a couple of comments, and Bruce Pritchard. At least they've ever been in the wrestling profession. But I love the footage. They went into Flair's childhood. John Cena narrates this. And they went into his childhood, and he got in trouble, and went to military school. And the AWA footage with Gagne training Chris Taylor and those guys in the barn, and etc. You wouldn't know who anybody was from watching this program unless you already knew who they were. Otherwise, they were Gagne training wrestlers. But
That's one of the best wrestling schools in
partnering with Click because I love grabbing a Clip Bar mini on my way out the door. I'm obsessed with the cookies and cream flavor, and these are such good snacks to take on the go. I must say, Private Box are seriously so useful. I love putting on my favorite podcast and enjoying all the fresh flowers for spring. Instead of just rushing through, I try to be as present as I can, and I always come home feeling so much more clear-minded.
I killed Jedi with my bare hands. Used cortosis to short-circuit lightsabers. Erased memories. And somehow, people still
wish he'd slow down and take care of his health and etc. because, he's already had a close call there. And, I'd be home underneath the dogwood tree with my feet up reading a book and watching the squirrels. But see, that's the kind of shit that makes me happy. And I don't know that Rick would have ever wanted to watch squirrels unless he could bet on who was going to climb the tree, the fastest or whatever.
There's kamikazes.
Yeah, to strain yourself. My mother always used to say, don't strain your milk, Jimmy. If I tried to lift something, you'll strain your milk. Well, seed won't let you strain your milk. It supports benefits in and beyond the gut. It will support ease of bloating, healthy regularity, and ease of evacuation. See, it's all part of getting all that bad shit out and moving the good shit in. So if you're bloated, that means you're full of shit. And if you don't have healthy regularity, that means you're not regularly expunging the shit that you're full of. In some cases, I know people who are so full of shit, they can get rid of it every day out of their mouth, and they're still full of it. And also the ease of evacuation. Folks, when you get on seed, this broad spectrum 2-in-1 probiotic and prebiotic, you will be evacuating all over the place. You will evacuate morning, evening, and night.
Under control. Whenever you're ready to go and evacuate.
Yes, well, I would make appointments ahead of time if I were you, because you're going to need them. But it will be easy for you to evacuate. As a matter of fact, the whole place will be empty. I mean, there'll be tumbleweeds down there, just rolling across. It'll be in the wind whistling, because there'll be nothing there to stop it. It's going to be evacuated. And it also supports your gut barrier. That's a barrier between your gut and the outside world that wants to get in and do horrible things to it. It'll support your skin health. And with this, you have this seed probiotic and prebiotic. A lot of people have had a problem in modern times with their skin falling off.
Shopping for a mattress is just so confusing.
Sounds like retro shopping for you. At Slumberland, our sleep counselors are here to help you find the best mattress without any pressure.
Enough pressure, Leo.
Slumberland, stop stressing and start sleeping.
Falling off. And that won't happen with this. It'll stay right on you where it belongs. It'll promote your heart health and micronutrient synthesis. And I can't, let me say this again, folks, micronutrient synthesis. I can't stress this enough. Micronutrient synthesis. It's all part of seed. Start a healthy new habit today. Visit seed.com/drive. Use the code DRIVE to redeem 20% off your first month of Seed's Daily Synbiotic. You will look better, you'll feel better, you'll eat better, and you'll shit better. Especially if you're already full of it. With Seed's Daily Synbiotic, that's seed.com/drive. 20% off. 20% off your next dump. Courtesy of Seed and us here at the program. All right, well, before we hop over to the other side of the promotional war and check out AEW, Brian, what's going on in the world of the Arcadian Vanguard Network this fine week?
Another action-packed week on the Arcadia Vanguard Podcast Network. This fine week, get information on all the shows on Twitter, at Super Podcast, or on Facebook.
Do you have sludge in your ducks this fine week?
No, but we promise the best track you can get on Facebook at facebook.com/superpodcast.
Duck direct?
Few notes before we get the duck out of here. See, I'll hit you with that again. This week on Breaking Kayfabe with Maldron and Barry, a big episode. The boys talk with Dr. D. David Schultz. Hear that today? Once again, MaldronPod.com. Look for Breaking Kayfabe with Maldron and Barry wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Also want to mention Shut Up and Wrestle with Brian Solomon. Another big episode this week. Brian's guest, Rob Van Dam. Your RVD, Brian Solomon today at SUAWpod.com. Or look for Shut Up and Wrestle with Brian Solomon wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And of course, the 605 Super Podcast. Leadership! In my house, guys are wondering what the hell just happened. At least I wasn't on the intercom earlier. Opening week Star Wars is recorded. It is edited. We're just about to put it up, so stay tuned. The next
And it's still $50 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should want it. It's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. That's actually an elaboration of what 2, but it counts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. 6, you can bring your own phone. On 7, also your own like that too. 8, are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, this is my commercial.
Give the names and faces and the idea out. He wouldn't, I mean, they would turn up on anything, especially in the 80s. They weren't making a secret of what was going on anymore. As far as, the wrestling promotion was always in all those cities and always drawing those crowds. But the papers and the TV stations didn't pay any attention to it. A lot of times when they did, they'd get kicked out because they'd be uncomplimentary. But now all of a sudden it's, look my guys. But he was on everything. Man, it helped that he looked like that. That's one thing, our debate that we had earlier. Dusty would have got over with charm and charisma, but he didn't look like that at 8x10. Right? So if you're the Tonight Show booker, you want this guy you've never heard of or this guy you've never heard of, but one of them looks better than the other.
The other thing too is he knew how to turn on the charm for a mainstream audience better than almost anyone in wrestling history.
And he used that to very good advantage. Did you see who made a guest appearance in a maybe 1.2-second clip when they were showing some WCW highlights from 1993?
Oh, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. He said, oh, there he is. Was it Chip Grimm, Heavenly Bobbies?
Yes, absolutely nothing. When they're just saying the lay of the land of WCW in 93, there was a 1.5-second clip of the angle we did when once had us come in for Super Bowl and the Bodies and the Midnight Express had the TV match.
Give them credit. It's stupid as it is. They're talking about railroad Bischoff got control. They went to right what he was talking about. Why else would they pull up that clip of all the times?
It happened in 1993. That was the only connection that I can see. Anyway, so Bischoff's story is he pitched Hogan to always heard also, but basically they didn't come out and say this. But when Hall and Nash started getting over as the invaders, the outsiders, then all of a sudden Hogan liked it better. And he admitted that he knew he had to reinvent himself because he'd been the same thing for, at that point, 13 years. But then, as soon as he decides in this context, this program, go ahead.
Stop me there. It wasn't the same thing, and I think this is something people miss.
Real Credit Union is here for you and your community with people-first service, local support, and all the accounts you need to help reach your financial goals. Learn more at marceline.org/your support to ensure that COA subject to credit approval, equal credit opportunity.
Miss. Hulk Hogan was like one thing up until 86, 87. And then he became like a cartoon version of that.
True. It went more and more over the top.
Yeah, Hogan in the AWA into the early years of Hulkamania and the WWF as people were meeting him all around the country and he was a big star. That was one thing. And then he just became too, for a lot of kids, I'm sure there's a reason we turned against him. There's a reason we like Ultimate Warrior. Hogan just started getting more and more cartoony.
Hokey.
Hokey.
Hokey Hogan.
Hokey Hogan.
That's what it was. And then the TBS tried to change WCW to chase Vince, and the wrestling fans got no alternative to cartoon, ice cream bar land. And they started turning against everything in the early 90s. a switching heel, and he saved it again. And then everybody verbally fillets Hogan like he invented being a heel wrestler. Dr. Phil is back. Why is Dr. Phil on this program? I mean, let's do a fucking biography of Hulk Hogan. The first person we gotta get is Dr. Phil. And he was on, who else was he on? No, I don't know. No, he was on another one of these Eagle specials. Anyway, they must have got comments on multiple people. Anyway, the Slipknot guy. The guy from Slipknot actually said, the quote, there was a virus in wrestling. It's like the heels were cool, which was exactly where they went wrong. And when we're talking about the NWO's impact on WCW, where they made all of the WCW guys look like clueless putzes and made the NWO heels look cool to where that they lost their own fucking company, and all the WCW fans were like, what the fuck? Yeah, anyway. Bruce Pritchard is so careful not to say anything inflammatory to anyone living or dead. It's amazing. He can say, make a flat statement, and it will take neither person's side in an issue where there's only two sides.
Beyond not being able to listen to him because he says there was boring stuff in the slowest, most monotone manner. Beyond that, I can't stop looking at his neck. It's oh, now come on. 5 times his size. And
Hey,
just
over 35% of the men in America will suffer at some point or another from male expanding neck. So don't be so frivolous.
40% of some watching TV that Bruce Pritchard got a part of.
No, not that many people who watch TV. So, in 1996, they say on this special, this was a quote, WCW was dominating the WWF in the ratings thanks to Hulk Hogan. I bet you at that point, Hall and Nash and a few other people down there were probably pissed.
Yeah, making him as close as possible is just saying he noticed that Nash and Hall were getting over big.
Yes.
And he didn't want it to be Sting. He said, making me has to be me.
It can't be Sting, it must be me. And honestly, Sting could have done it anyway. I asked Sting when Sting was in the main event Mafia in TNA, and he was babyface in the top heel group because of some fantasy that Shitstain had dreamed of after dinner at Taco fucking Tico. And I asked him, I said, Sting, you're a heel. Well, talk to Vince, he'll explain it to you why I'm a babyface when I'm in the heel group. I said, I have, and he tried, and it didn't work. So now you're beating the baby faces without cheating, and you're in the heel groups. Haven't you ever wanted to be a heel just to have fun like that? No. That was his answer. No. Never wanted to be a heel. So he would have been able to do it anyway. And honestly, I think Sting is another person who, either because of the religion or just the presentation, has come to think that he would be betraying the little children. The little children, if he became a heel. But anyway.
That was Cody's excuse too, wasn't it?
Somebody ought to ask the children how they feel about these men. And then children are probably, yeah, fuck him. I don't like him anyway. Turn him heel.
Sleeper, we've all been there. The Tempur Breeze collection feels up to 10 degrees cooler all night long, featuring advanced cooling technologies that work together to pull cool heat away from your body. And you can save $500 on it right now during Ashley's Stars and Stripes sale.
Legendary strike from hand. Blood blowing time, bitch!
So Hogan then demanded creative control. And Booker T's comment is, well, it had opened up a whole can of worms. That Hogan's quote was, there office was structured or anything, so when they hear they have a chance to hire the head writer, they thought they were getting the whole ball of wax. And that's how the shit stain was able to con himself into that fucking job. So then, they had a situation there where everybody hated everybody else, and a bunch of people had pull over other shit. So then, they go to shit stain for comments, and the first words out of his mouth were setting up his excuse. Well, I went in there, and I had a target on my back the very first day. That sounds more like Franklin Delano Roosevelt, doesn't it? And I didn't say bro. Bro, I had a target on my back the very first day. I told Eleanor. I said the only thing we have to fear is my booking itself. So then we got Bischoff and Shitstain and Hogan going back and forth, all three bickering in separate locations about whose fault it was. But yeah, I just still find it amazing that no matter who it is that's involved, and no matter what their background or their viewpoint about wrestling or their politics or their race, creed, color, or national origin, everybody who's ever worked with Shitstain thinks he was the fucking problem. And that he's an idiot. So that we got that. So then they go through and this is Brian, as a person who might not have been born 25 years ago, and is just watching this program. Did you understand everything that happened when they covered the whole Hogan bash at the beach, Jeff Jarrett, lay down, screw job, bullshit, work shoot, gaga, they got people sued? You understood everything from watching this program, didn't you?
I understood everything because I knew the bigger stories. I knew what to look for, but it was probably confusing for people who had no idea what was going on during the whole thing. All of a sudden,
Yeah,
this.
And again, it looked fake and it looked phony, which it did at the time, but they talked about that, and then they basically spotlighted Shitstain on the clip when he was in there. He was trying to be, he had gone to a new company that he had basically pulled the wool over their eyes and convinced them that he was responsible for what had happened to the WWF. Then, because the WWF would never think of allowing him on television as a performer or character, he's got carte blanche to do that. So there is Shitstain trying to be the center of attention, the star of his show, exposing the business for his own masturbatory Shakespeare fantasies, and getting him sued by motherfucking Hogan. So, but this show, I don't think was fair, because it made it seem like that Russo killed WCW by killing Hogan off. When in actuality, he actually did so much more damage to everybody else, and so many more programs, and so many more careers, and so much more programming.
And the industry as a whole.
And the industry as a whole, but anything that he did to Hogan, really, he didn't do anything bad to Hogan, because Hogan ended up suing.
Welcome to Caribou Coffee, where we don't just know your favorite, we know your dog's too. And this is more than a freshly brewed cup of coffee. It's a masterpiece you can drink. That's Caribou. When can we get started for you?
And ended up actually being instrumental in getting Russo moved out of the way so that they could live on for another
Steph would punch him.
Anywhere else besides one company and only appeared on television, one of the shows for that company.
She's the first great modern heel. No house show appearance. Just appears on TV randomly. Never gets her knee taken away.
Yes, constantly emasculates all the stars. And again, you know, I say that somebody, if they had at the right time, if somebody had just picked Stephanie McMahon up and given her a big goddamn killer crawl
I'll
cock,
beat your ass if we're rolling up.
because she had some heat built up and she was annoying because nobody could ever get over on her, verbally or physically.
That was one of the saddest things, I think, about the last appearances of Dusty Rhodes on TV. And it's one of the few times I felt that she kind of getting things right with Cody years before Stardust. When Cody had Dustin with Dusty, and Dusty reading the room, picks up his hand and puts it in Stephanie's face. And that was the last time Dusty really was able to do anything on his own ever again on WWE TV. That's what happened. He tried to act later, babyface boy.
Yeah.
So was standing there and taking it.
That's what the writers would have you do. Because they would say, well, she's your boss, so you have to take it. And you have no alternative. But they don't understand that in the world of wrestling, the alternative that the babyface has is to punch the fucking bitch in the face. Either that or go put her in front of the babyface, mouthing off and talking down to him. Because you cannot put a babyface in a position to be emasculated or inoculated or any of those other lateds. Especially by a woman that the fans are living vicariously through the babyface. And in the movies and the TV shows and the fantasies that they would have in their head for their boss, whether man, woman, child, animal, vegetable, or mineral, they want to pump that fucking person in the fucking spleen.
I think you'll find after a car accident and this happens, most people don't realize that even accidents that seem minor can financially destroy you when the real costs hit weeks later. If you've been in a car accident recently, even one that seemed minor, or where you were just a passenger,
That fucking person in the fucking spleen. And obviously you can't, especially in today's modern day environment, you can't have the baby face haul off and punch Stephanie in the face, which is why she should have never been put in a position. She was getting something over on the people that could not retaliate because it emasculates them and makes them ineffective. Even if somebody had brought in a girl, did we ever see, did they ever bring in a girl to tackle Stephanie and whip her ass?
Macho-ism.
Thinking about the lawn all winter, but it's time to get started. Spring will come eventually for many of us here in this country. And you don't have to do a lot of work to get the lawn green and healthy again, so you can look at it on Sunday afternoons, because all you gotta do is get Sunday Lawn. Go to getsunday.com. Sunday can help you grow a beautiful lawn without the guesswork or the nasty chemicals. They have a custom plan, including fertilizer and all the other stuff that you need to easily care for your lawn. They've got no nasty chemicals that are going to turn orange and make them look like mutants from Mars as they grade the lawn like kids are known to do. Do your kids eat a lot of grass, Brian?
The kids don't graze on the lawn.
Well, why?
Because of Sunday lawn, it would be like Kirkhead meeting, and they don't graze on the lawn.
Well, but if you knew what to eat this stuff is Sunday lawn, they have ingredients like seaweed, iron, and molasses. Molasses is good. My mother always used to talk about how slow it was in January. But iron, seaweed, molasses, all these things are so. If you want your kids to be able to graze out a lawn, or your pets, you can feel good about that. No bad chemicals. All you gotta do is visit
Again, baby girl.
getsunday.com, and that's Sunday.
250 push-up, 5-pound weight vest. A minute, 37-second plank. 10-minute walk. 1 hour exercise bike. Over 200 overhead presses. Over 15 Hindu squats. Over 25 resistant bands. And 6 benches. That'll be it for today. Angela, Claire, Ninja, have an awesome day. I'll be at the cheesy account. I'm gonna eat. I'm hungry. 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 I'm hungry.